Officers, today we get a mental rep on something that frankly I haven't seen before on the channel, and that makes it an important lesson for you and yours. Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection, where every day we post a real life use of force caught on camera so that your training and your practice can be more research informed. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from beautiful, and it really is beautiful, Costa Mesa, California.
Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today. Officers here are on routine patrol in a kind of a, by the week hotel that is known as a high crime area. They run across this car, and when they do, the driver, they're not just sitting in the car, the driver is slumped over the driver's seat unconscious, which is an absolute sign that there's drug use going on there, and so these officers are going to come and make contact. Let's listen in. We have multiple badge cam as well as dash cam.
So the reason you guys are being detained is because when we drove up, your head was down, and typically when they see that someone in the car, someone's probably overdosed, someone's doing drugs, run the nod, okay? And then it seems like you guys don't have a lawful purpose of being here. So another reason you guys are being detained is because possibly loitering, trespassing, okay? That's it.
What did he say you had?
Just like foils and stuff.
You have foils and stuff?
It's all mine. You want to get him a ladder?
Alright. Let me get him first. He's got paraphernalia on him. I got a straw over here. You cool stepping out? Hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. You're not under arrest or anything, okay? Okay? Can you drop that? Interlace your fingers. Stand up straight, dude. What are you doing?
I just thought I could get a workout.
Okay. You're not under arrest or anything. You understand that, right? Okay. There's just a bunch of you guys here, so I just want to make sure we do this safely, okay? Is it okay if I search you?
Yeah.
Okay. Face car. Spread your feet. This is the foil that the paraphernalia that you were talking about?
Yeah.
What do you smoke out of that?
Honestly, everything.
Everything?
Yeah.
Like what? I'm assuming you use this with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so meth? What else?
It's all meth.
Do you have meth?
No.
Raise your arms. What's your last name? No probation or parole, right? Right. Were you guys all smoking together?
No, we're not even getting high.
No. If I what?
No.
I just can't hear you. I can't promise you anything, man. I can't. We'll deal with one thing at a time, okay? We'll talk right now. But I can't promise you anything, okay? Fair?
Yeah. Okay. You're not gonna put me in the car, right?
No. I'm just gonna put you over here. You cool with that?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out a place where I can put you guys.
Can I just leave into the car? I'm not. He knows me. I don't run or anything.
Officer Lopez, do you trust that he will stay here? Yeah. Okay. Can you just take a seat for now? And once I get everyone out, we'll make adjustments, okay?
21, sir, for 95 male at Hanninger and King Western Court. For male team checking door handle. Described as a male white, tall, and
you have anything illegal on you, ma'am?
Black pants.
No? Is it okay if I check? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Can you stand up? You're not under arrest or anything, okay? Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. All right, let's back up a little bit so I have some more room. You cool with that? Okay. Can you face the car? Right here? Spread your feet. So no drugs, no needles, no nothing like that, right? I just don't want to get poked. I'm not saying you have anything. I just want to make sure. Sometimes people have surprised me, and they surprise themselves because they don't even remember. What's your name, ma'am? Okay. Where are you from, Miss?
I am from.
What brings you out here to the beautiful city of Costa Mesa?
I just ended up here. We got stranded. Like, we got left here, and
Okay.
I never left, so.
When did you get stranded?
A couple weeks ago.
What? How?
Someone was just kind of like left us
Report
behind.
563
Yeah.
586 to 689 West 17.
Hey, hey, hey! Stop the car! Stop! 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 44802, shot fired. Hey, get out! Get out! Get out! Go! Go! Get out! 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 Get out!
Keep your hand on the steering wheel, David. You're trying my patience, dude.
report 563 for 586 to 689 West 17.
No, hey, no.
Stop the car! Stop! Stop! Stop!
44, 802 Alpha, shots fired. Stop the car!
You can see it from the dash cam as well. If you go watch the original, it has audio too, but you don't hear anything new in it. Guy gets run over his hands by the rear wheel, and so they fill the driver in. The driver did not make it. The passenger, who was cooperative and got his hands run over, you can see him run around behind the SUV that then got hit. He almost got hit a second time there. Thankfully, he made it out with minor injuries on this one. And again, the driver here, he did not make it. He died of his injuries. Ooh, I think there's some interesting stuff we're going to want to talk about here about letting somebody you've taken into custody sit next to a car that you haven't secured yet. And I think that's an important mental rep. A couple other great lessons on this one. Now, I know, Mike, some people are going to argue that these officers never should have messed with these guys to begin with, and they caused this whole thing, but back up a minute. They're simply patrolling the neighborhood, and they see a guy slumped over his steering wheel, and you're gonna go investigate that. This could be a medical issue. This is part of their community caretaking, and then once we realize, oh, what's going on here is they're doing a bunch of drugs in the car, and even the kid in the back seat is like, yeah, man, I got a bunch of drug paraphernalia on me, that's cool. I will say both these officers are pretty cool with these folks, and the guy in the hat here who ends up the one being hurt, he knows what the score is here, and he's pretty cool too.
Yeah, the guy in the back seat reminds me of the old cartoon from when John and I, well, when I was a kid, John's a lot younger than me, when I was a kid, of the sheepdog and the wolf checking in every morning and punching their card and kind of just doing their job. That's kind of what this guy's an old school crook. He's like, yeah, you got me, I have some dope, whatever. Not going to give you a big hard time. Listen, I know there's people out there, there's people in our company who don't like police just sort of randomly messing with people. This is anything but that. Every city, every town, pretty much, unless you're in a very small town, has at least one of these motels, and it is an absolute felon magnet. And you just get people in and out of there all the time. Those people are transient. They're coming through doing dope. They're doing sexual assaults and all sorts of crazy stuff. And they're making your community a less safe place. So I absolutely want my law enforcement officers checking up on these places, making sure there's no tomfoolery afoot, and that's what they were doing here. It was not a medical emergency. These guys are dopers. That's all there is to it. And every cop, as soon as every cop pressed play on this video and saw the people inside this car, yep, dopers. There's dope in that car. 100% chance there's dope in that car. And lo, there was, and we see what happened as a result.
And lo, there was. Mike, you were talking about, Sam the sheepdog. The guy in the back seat looked more like Pete Puma to me, but I want some tea, 3 or 4, stuff like that. I mean, obviously, not the smartest guy that ever did was, but now the officer put him down and let him sit down behind the rear wheels of a vehicle that is not secured. And I've never seen this before, but this is, of course, the problem with that. You see him, his hands are getting run over right here. Is this man now at deadly threat? Absolutely. It's highly likely he goes under the wheels. He's going to get caught under the driver's side door that is open, likely to get caught by the passenger side wheel, the front wheel, highly likely to put him in the hospital or even kill him. Is this a deadly threat to him? Yes. Does the officer need to use deadly force to stop that? Absolutely and unequivocally yes. I do think, though, some folks are going to have a problem and say, well, wait a minute, it's the officer who caused that. He didn't mean, meaningfully or do that in order to try to keep the guy from doing that. The guy actually asked if he could go sit back behind the car. I think the lesson here is don't let people sit in the vicinity of unsecured vehicles.
Yeah, so here's a really great training point, by the way, that it just occurred to me. When you're on a stop like this, when you have 2 officers or 2 deputies or whatever, and you've got numerous people, right? you always want to be able to see your partner at all times, no matter where you're standing. And you do want to be able to keep an eye on at least one or more of the occupants as long as your partner has the other ones covered, right? So I would have obviously preferred that he move this guy up and have him sit in the grass or sit on the curb or somewhere where he's not in the line of this car. When, John sends me these videos for me to review, and then we get together to make these recordings, these videos where we break them down. And I actually texted him. I'm like, man, John, as soon as he sat that guy down behind the car, I got a bad feeling. And it was only a moment later that my concerns were confirmed. You can't do this. Once someone is in handcuffs and they're not free to leave, once they're detained, not even arrested, once they're detained and at the mercy of whatever, they're your baby as the cops, right? They're your responsibility. And so keeping them safe is, in fact, part of the job that you have to do to the extent that you can, right? So that means not putting him behind the car. I've never seen this before in 30 years. I never saw anyone sit somebody behind the car. I'm not sure why this officer did that. I'm not going to give him too hard of a time. I mean, he obviously didn't foresee this guy trying to flee and back out. But this is a great training point. So make sure you can see your partner and see the bad guys. Don't sit anybody down behind the car ever, please.
Yeah, it's just this brings up a good training point. And that is, I've never seen this before. But just as a general rule, don't sit people in the vicinity of cars that haven't been secured because you could run into problems like this. Now, I have zero problems with the shooting, zero. And I want to note something here because the officer, I know some folks are going to look at the next shots and say, well, wait a minute, why did he keep shooting him? Well, right now, look at what the officer's doing. He has the gun up in front of his face like this, and he's looking through his sights to get hits. He can't see what we can see on his badge cam. So that guy is about to go under the wheels. But our officer's not going to be able to see that guy go away and get away from the scene. So he says, if you go read, I have put up the DA's investigation, including the interview with this officer. And he said, I didn't see him move. I couldn't see him move. And that's an attentional thing and a vision thing. So any problems with shooting on this one for me is an absolute no. He's got all the go light here to shoot to stop this threat.
Listen, tunnel vision is a real thing. I don't know that there is a way to eliminate tunnel vision during a high stress situation like this. The best you can do is to break tunnel vision once it is set in, right? So he is focused 100%, probably, right? I don't know. I'm not in his head. 100% on this driver and where that driver is and how to get effective rounds on him to stop him from running this other individual over. And yeah, what John said is true. If you want to play along at home, put your arms out in front of you like you are in a shooting stance with your hands together like you're holding a gun, and you can't see those things underneath your arm, which is where this guy was positioned in that moment. Therefore, I believe the officer was telling the truth. He could not see this guy. And so there's people probably are like, well, this guy didn't know he was running someone over. Sorry, but that's irrelevant. You've been detained. You're not free to leave. So pulling out is, trying to flee in the vehicle is already a felony on top of the fact that you got somebody behind you. So, man, just don't do any of this stuff. If you're a bad guy and you're caught, just be caught. Just go to jail, take your licks, and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I literally just finished a 300+ hour certification advanced force science specialist class on vision and attention and memory. And this case actually plays into that very well. Again, the officer sees it, starts to shoot, gets on his radio, get back on there, and said in his interview, I see him put it into drive and turn the wheels towards me and towards the woman who is standing right next to me who I just detained, and I thought for sure he was going to run me over. Those are all very reasonable statements, and recognizing that the guy is out from under the wheels, he never saw him until it was all over that he wasn't still under the wheels. And again, human attention is finite. So from all that perspective, and the guy that decides to back up, he has warrants and he's got a firearm. I think he had a firearm on him, but at any rate, he's got felony warrants, knows that he's going to jail for a long time, knows that he's high, knows that that's going to be a violation of his probation. So he's doing all this not because he's scared of the cops, but because he doesn't want to go back to prison because he is a frequent flyer, as it were. So I don't have any problems with it. Go back to the original officer here, Mike. And once again, I think he's pretty chill, just kind of like looking at this guy going, all right, man, let's figure out who you are and see what's going on. And this is going to be a minor thing right up until everything gets crazy. Now, if you notice in the officer's shooting here on this badge cam, his backstop is oofda. It's a very difficult backstop, but he is standing in a tall spot and he is pointing that firearm in a downward direction. And that does a very good job of not endangering the people on the other side of the car.
Yeah, it's something that you should be training. Listen, if you're a professional law enforcement officer in the year of our Lord 2024, almost 2025, this might come out in 2025, I don't know, and you're not training around vehicles with role players and some kind of a sim gun or something like that, you're wrong. You need to be practicing this stuff. This is not an intuitive action for him to do. Trying to keep that backstop clear, trying to get rounds into this guy without affecting anyone else. And also bear in mind, the earlier John mentioned the other officer whose batch cam we were watching felt he was going to get run over. I know some people are going to be like, hey, but he should move out of the way. Or you've said before, don't put yourself in front of a moving vehicle. He didn't put himself in front of a moving vehicle. He was where he was initially when he started, and that guy decided to aim a vehicle towards him. Man, this was really close. I mean, really, really close. That guy underneath the car very well could have been absolutely mortally wounded, as could have the female who didn't move for some reason when it was obvious it was time to move. But this is one of those split-second things that if you haven't done some training and sort of inured yourself to this kind of violence and stress, it's too late in the moment. You have to have trained this stuff ahead of time, and it's clear to me they have.
Right. So make sure that you're training for it. One little training point here as well. You notice our officer is firing the bullet with his right hand here while he's talking on the radio with his left. Attention is already at a huge premium in a critical incident like this. When you are under an incredible cognitive load, your attention is already stretched to the limits. Trying to talk on the radio while shooting is just an incredibly bad idea. Do one or the other. As Ron Swanson famously taught us, do not half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And that means in this case, they have two officers there. They have everybody they need there to solve the problem, and then get on the radio when you have something meaningful to say other than shots fired, shots fired. You've got enough there to solve the problem. You are units on scene. Stay off the radio.
Yeah, and listen, here's the thing. We've said this before, but it bears repeating. It doesn't matter how somebody could be in the front of that building and the other side of the parking lot in their patrol car, and they're still not going to get there in time to have any effect on the outcome of this entire thing. I understand the feeling. I've been there 1,000 times where you're like, I'm by myself. Help! Bad things are happening. Get people over here. It's a perfectly normal human reaction, even for a fully trained law enforcement officer. You want other people there. You want other people to help. You want other people to come to your aid. Problem is, in the middle of a thing like this, it's way too rapid. It's way too dynamic. It's going to be over before anyone can get there. And I mean it. Even if someone's in front of that building, they're not going to get there in time to have any effect on the outcome. So just focus on what's in front of you. And what's in front of you right now is getting this guy stopped.
Get him stopped. And then, again, once you know what you need, then call it in. So we learned this lesson. Oh, man, how do you know somebody's a pilot? Don't worry, they'll tell you, right? First thing that we learn in flying airplanes is aviate first, so fly the plane, then navigate, figure out where you're gonna go next, then communicate once you have time and you have the ability to do so. So as a cop, deal with the problem that's in front of you, then figure out what you need to do next, and once you've got a plan, then communicate on the radio. Aviate, navigate, communicate. It's a great paradigm for officers too. That's a very little thing, all right? I really think that the driver's side officer did a really, really phenomenal job. I think the passenger side officer, I think he was really good. I think he made a mistake in putting the guy down behind the car, but it's an honest mistake that I've never seen be a problem before, but it's a good training point for us to follow. I do think that the shooting was 100% justified, and when the chips were down, these officers covered their ASP. Download the ASP Unlimited app for all the content you love from active self-protection and more with no interference from YouTube. No ads, no age gates, exclusive videos, seminars, classes, and more on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Android TV. Hit the link in the description or download ASP Unlimited from your app store today.